I want to give everybody a window into what's happening on the ground for you at the moment. Just how big is this problem? Take viewers through what you're going through on a day-to-day basis.
Thanks for having us, Peter. It's huge. It's a statewide problem. Every day, morning ritual, check traps, go out checking paddocks of what damage mice have done overnight. We've got crops that we've already got to re-sow because of mice have eaten as they're coming out of the ground, and the smell. And I was just up around the silos loading trucks there before, and just the smell of rancid dead mice everywhere. It's starting to it's getting beyond. Well, it is beyond control. No.
And look, I know what people think about a couple of mice in their house. You know, we've all had that regardless of where you live. But, I mean, I just made the point at the top of the show. Now, I grew up in the Mallee. I remember very bad mice plagues in the 80s. We're talking about mice sort of, this deep in and around silos and augers and farm machinery, electrical cables being stripped out. Just an absolute rotten stench, and they just come at night. You see them in waves, almost like a grey carpet. That's the sort of scale we're talking about. It's hard for people outside of country areas, I think, to imagine it.
It is. Until you see it for yourself, it's hard to believe the extreme that comes. As you said, it's just like a grey blanket that goes across the road around any bits of grain. It just covers the ground. The ground moves. It's just, you couldn't write it in a movie if you really wanted to. It's phenomenal. Just everywhere you look, you can hear them moving at the night time, smell them, turn lights on, and the ground just moves in front of you.
And look, the speed at which they multiply is extraordinary. I think it's worth just restating some of these stats. Females give birth as many as 10 litres a year, and basically from birth until the time a mouse can reproduce, it's only 6 weeks. So how on earth, Brent, do you get on top of this?
I think it's actually a little bit less than that, I think. But, that's it. And so we've just solid baiting programs, one after another. You stage your baiting to breed, to go in with the mouse's breeding cycle and try and break that life cycle, put a hole in it there. Just, be diligent around everywhere, clean up any spilt grain, just try and make it as hard and as uncomfortable for them to want to live anywhere near us, basically.
Talk to me about the announcement from the government, New South Wales government, a $50 million program to fund baits. Did you get that sort of program funding soon enough? Has it come too late? And if you can tell me about the bait funding, what else do you think might be needed to get on top of it?
Look, it probably is a little bit late, especially for some people who have baited already and have spent big money of their own trying to keep on top of it, but better late than never. So we can continue to keep pushing it and bait, especially now with our own grain. We can do it a lot more financially. It's a lot more financially viable to go and use ours. We can possibly up the rates a little bit more or spread paddocks that you probably wouldn't do if you're paying to buy the bait outright. All those things are going to help. Little bits, the reimbursements for farms and businesses are all good too. We can really get on top of it. If everyone can have a combined effort and attack at it, we'll hopefully start beating them back in numbers.
I presume if you don't get it under control though in Western New South Wales, it'll keep on moving, particularly southward into the Mallee and other areas, that the plague will keep moving. How serious is it that you've got to stop it where you are now?
It is, and hopefully it doesn't move any further forward. But the problem is that we're looking at now, if they do slow down, what's going to happen at springtime? If we can get these crops up out of the ground and growing well, like the year promises it could do, if they come back in around springtime when everything's out in head and then they start nipping the heads off the wheat and barley and canola and everything, it's all been for nothing really. So the year's worth of income is back down the drain. So it's just as bad as an outcome as a drought or a floods or anything. It's a nil income year if the mice come and decimate it all at that time of the year.
Yeah, look, I've got to say, to farming families, we're all complaining about the COVID restrictions. Well, you've had all of those, and you've had floods, you've had your bushfires, you've obviously had the drought, and now you're into a mouse plague. It doesn't get any tougher, does it? I mean, we want people to move to the bush, to do these agricultural jobs, to take on life in a farm. Not easy.
To be honest, I think I've washed my hands more through the mouse plague than I have through COVID, because everything you touch smells like mice around here. Yeah, look, that's part of we know what we sign up for when we become farmers. It's never easy, but we would like, after coming off such a great, fantastic year last year with good yields and good prices, just to get another couple of run of average years so we can all get back on our feet. And then, we think we're getting there. We have a good start to the year, and these little buggers pop their heads up and throws it back into turmoil again.